Yo, what's up guys? We are back. How is everybody doing? We're here showcasing one of the new features coming in the 3.3 update for the FORBIDDENCRAFT server. I teased this feature a little bit. Let it be clear, at the time of recording this, we're actually 2 hours away from launching the 3.2 update. I work on these updates pretty much as soon as I finish one of them, I start working on the next one. So I've actually already been working on 3.3 for a little while now. And for, testing purposes and demonstration purposes, I am in creative. And I want to be very clear that in this video we're only going to be talking about one of the new features coming in the next update, and that is because I want to save the rest of the features for later, but this is a feature that I've teased a little bit and a lot of people are interested to know what it does, and it's more or less done, I believe. So we're gonna go ahead and showcase this real quick. So if I go ahead and grab myself a redstone torch, some emeralds, and some blaze powder, like so. I do want to be very clear that this entire update that this item will be releasing in, which will be sometime late May, early June, will be mostly centered around new building mechanics. It's going to be the builder's update. So this is one of the changes that I've made to redstone mechanics, because you can't really talk about building and not talk about redstone. So if we take a redstone torch in the center and we take 4 emeralds like this, and then 1 blaze powder in this corner, 1 blaze powder in that corner, you'll see that we'll get a rather interesting looking redstone torch here. And I teased this a little while back as the RPS torch. Now, some of you guessed that RPS stood for redstone per second. And although that was a really good guess, that is incorrect. RPS actually stands for redstone proximity sensor. So in this video, I will be going over all of the capabilities of this redstone proximity sensor. And we're not going to do like any huge redstone builds or anything like that. I just want to show the basic idea of what this thing is capable of. So what we're going to do is, we'll grab some of these. Okay. So, we're going to place this down, and you'll notice when it's placed, it looks just like a regular torch, alright? You'd be hard-pressed to say that there's anything unusual about this. However, if you right-click on it, you'll see that we get a menu that pops up. Here's our inventory, but here's our menu. So what this torch is able to do is it is able to detect entities within a specified range of this torch. Right now, the range is set to 5. It's set to 5 by default. So whatever entity you set it to, and we'll get to that in a second, whatever entity you set it to, if it, by default, if that entity enters it at least 5 blocks away or closer, it'll trigger a redstone signal. However, you can actually increase this or decrease it if you like. You can increase it up to 10 and the lowest you can go is 1. So you can go up to 10 blocks away from this torch. And that doesn't necessarily have to be 10 blocks in front of the torch, 10 blocks behind the torch. That is 10 blocks in any direction from this torch. So if I go this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this would be the range here. If I go this way, it would also go this way 10 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright? It would also go that way 10 blocks. And that way 10 blocks. And it would also go 10 blocks up as well as 10 blocks down. So all of those directions apply to this range. So right now it's set to 10. By default it's set to 5. Alright? But what you can do with this is you can change it. Here you can change it if you only want you, the person who placed it, to be able to edit this torch, or you can change it to where anybody can edit it if you want. You can go ahead and copy settings of this torch. If you want to make multiple of them, you only have to set the settings once. So if I set this torch to a specific setting, and then I had another proximity sensor, when I place my second one, the first one I would just click copy, and the second one I would click paste, and it would copy all of the settings from the first torch I made to any of the other torches I placed, so long as I press paste on those torches. So that's a really nice feature if you're using a build that uses a lot of these with all the same settings. That being said, now that we've gone over some of these features over here, you can increase the range, you can copy and paste settings, you can change whether or not who has permission to edit this. You can't do it to specific players. It'll only be either you or everybody. Yeah. That being said, now we can go into the entities that it can detect. So by default, it'll detect players and it'll detect the owner. So you can have it set to only detect the person who originally placed it. You can have it set to detect all players. You can have it set to detect only hostile mobs. You can have it set to detect only peaceful mobs. You can have it set to detect neutral mobs. Only neutral mobs. You can have it set to even detect individual mobs. So if we went in here, you can see we have all of the peaceful mobs. We can set it, if we wanted to, we can set it to where it would only detect squids. Alright? If we wanted to do that. Not that you would want to do that. But you could. You could do that. Again, not necessarily that you want to do that, but, you could. So, you can detect players, you can detect yourself, you can detect hostile entities, you can detect peaceful entities, you can detect neutral entities, you can detect specific entities. For example, if I only wanted to detect Endermen, I could do that. If I only wanted to detect pufferfish, I could do that. If I only wanted to detect illusioners, which are pretty rare, but, you could do that. You have the ability to do these things if you wanted to. You can also set it to only detect dropped items. So if an item is dropped within that range, it'll trigger it. You can set it to detect vehicles. Mine carts, and I believe boats as well count towards that. You can set it to detect projectiles, like arrows, witherheads, fireballs. If you wanted it to detect projectiles in that range. And you can even use it to detect invisible entities. So this is actually really useful for some of the invisible mobs that we have in the Nether, because there's actually 2 mobs in the Nether that can spawn invisible. One of them being Ghast, although Ghast can only stay invisible for a small amount of time, whereas there's another mob in the Nether on this server that is entirely invisible. You can use that for this. You can also use that to detect, wandering villagers, because at nighttime they become invisible. So, there you go. So, you have a lot of options here. Also, if you had another player who was invisible, you would still be able to detect them with this. So, that is, gives you a lot of options of what you can detect and what range you can detect them. So, let's say that we have this set to detect, let's see. Also, I should mention, you can also have it set to do combinations of these things. So, if I wanted it to detect, let's see. If I wanted it to detect, let's say, for whatever reason, if I wanted it to detect pigs and Endermen and players, I could do that. I don't know why you would want those specific things, but you can do that. So right now, I have it set to detect the owner, which is me. I have it set to detect, by the way, the owner changes depending on who placed the torch. The owner is just whoever placed the torch. So, right now I have it detecting owners, I have it detecting players, I have it detecting pigmen and endermen. So you can do combinations of these as well. And you will see, once I'm out of range, it turns off. Once I'm in range, it turns on. So, if I go here, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's off because it's set to 5. So there you go. That's how that works. You can see there. Now, if I were to increase this to 10, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 still on. 6, 7, 8 still on. 9, we're still on. And 10, we are now off. So 10 is the max range you can do with this. And again, let's say I'm going to turn both of those off. We're detecting pigs and endermen now. So if I just grab an enderman spawn egg, we'll grab a pig spawn egg. There we go. And you know what? We'll grab a creeper spawn egg. All right. So here's my creeper. You can see the torch is not on. Even at a range of 10, it's not detecting anything because it's not set to detect creepers. If I go in here and I go to here and I set it to detect creepers, look, it's on now. If I go back and I say, you know what, I don't want to detect creepers anymore, there you go. It's no longer on. And our little creeper friend is just going for a stroll. Now, if I put in a pig, you'll see it is now on. Even at this range, which is about max range, it's still on. And if I move this pig, if I move him out of range, you'll see that it's now off. So you can use this to detect a variety of entities at a specified range, and you can even use combinations of those entities. So that is how the RPS torch works. That is the mechanics behind it. And that is pretty much all you need to know about the RPS torch. Now, it is important to note that there are many other things that are going to be coming in this update. The RPS torch is not the only item coming in this update. And the RPS torch is not the only change to redstone mechanics that are coming in this update. So stay tuned on that. But for now, this is the official reveal of the RPS torch and what it is capable of. Hopefully you all are enjoying the 3.2 update, because as of recording this, 3.2 is going to be dropping in about an hour and a half from now. And yeah, that being said, hopefully you guys are enjoying that update, and hopefully you guys are excited for the next update, the 3.3 Builders update, which is when this RPS torch will be released, as well as a bunch of other build-themed updates. So that being said, thank all you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, guys.